Sorceress from saucerecipes.tv, and today I'm going to show you how to make wonderful, gorgeous, luscious Fettucine Alfredo. Now, a lot of Americans think that Fettucine Alfredo is an Italian dish, and indeed it started off in Rome, but the American recipes have been added to over the years. Some have cream in it, some have flour, some have other things. What I'm going to show you is the original, authentic recipe developed by Mr. Alfredo himself to please his pregnant wife, who was having trouble keeping her food down. Now, I don't quite know why she wanted to eat all this fat, but she did, and this is what he developed. Now, Fettucine Alfredo has 3 ingredients, at least the Alfredo sauce has 3 ingredients. It has butter, it has Parmesan cheese, and that's about it really. A little bit of water from the noodles when they're boiling. Now, I want to say something about the butter. It needs to be at room temperature to start, but it then needs to melt on a hot plate, and we're going to be actually tossing the pasta on this plate. So what I have done to keep it hot, this is a special little magic trick of my own, is I have used one of these hot packs and cool packs. You probably have one of these in your medicine cupboard. And I've simply heated it up according to the instructions. This says to boil it in water. I think some of the modern ones can be microwaved. I've put it under this towel, and I've put my metal plate on the top, and that's going to keep nice and warm for the purposes of making the sauce. Now, the sauce is what is known as a triple butter sauce. That means it has butter on the bottom under pasta and some more butter that goes on the top. So I've divided my butter into 3 parts, 1, 2, 3, and that's the one that I'm saving to do a bit later on. Now, the butter needs to be unsalted. Please don't use salted butter. You've got water to cook the fettuccine that has been salted, I hope. And the Parmesan cheese that you're going to be using is also full of salt. So you shouldn't need to add any other salt in any form. You can add some black pepper, which makes it look pretty at the end. So what I have to do now is I have to make sure that my butter is melted on the bottom of the plate, and I will then bring the pasta out and put it on the plate and show you what happens then. So now my pasta is done, my butter has been melted, and I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to lift the pasta out of the water. Notice I'm not draining it in a colander because I actually want to import a little bit of the water. That helps the sauce to form. It helps the pasta to melt, the parmesan to melt, and it helps to provide the moisture it needs for a nice creamy sauce. So I'll just get rid of that. Now I'm going to toss this with Parmesan cheese. Now, I have bought fresh Parmesan cheese, Italian, aged at least 24 months, and I've had it cut freshly from the wheel, so that I've got a fairly soft interior. Parmesan as it ages in your fridge can get very dry and hard, and this actually needs to be hand grated. I use one of these because anything you do in your food processor to chop it is just going to make it into little hard granules, and you want it much finer and softer than that. So I'm going to toss my Parmesan on top of the pasta, and then I'm going to toss it just as I would a salad. And in fact, I am using my favourite salad servers for this purpose because I happen to like them. They feel good, and also they're not going to bruise or damage the ribbons of fettuccine. So I'm also now going to add my extra butter and toss that, and that's what makes it triple butter, that there is butter, 2 lots of butter below the pasta and 1 lot of butter above the pasta when you make this sauce. Now, what's happening here, if you can get a close-up of this plate, is that the sauce is starting to look, it's starting to form, it's starting to look creamy, the cheese is starting to melt. But you can see why it's important to keep the plate hot while I'm doing all this. Now I think that's just about ready, and doesn't that look luscious? Now I'm just going to get a plate out of the microwave where I've had it getting warm. And here's another little trick. I actually learnt this from one of Australia's top food stylists, Donna Hay. So what she suggests is that you either, if you have a lazy Susan like this, or a turntable, you can use that. If you haven't, you can actually spin the plate yourself as you are making, as you're dressing the plate. But I'm going to use the lazy Susan because I can. But you can make it look really elegant by picking up some strands of pasta like this, and then using the turntable you can then swirl it as it goes into the dish, and it makes a lovely little nest with a bit of height to it. And you can do another one. I'm going to do another one here. So I'm going to have two little nests, and I'm just swirling the turntable around, and it makes the pasta sort of curl up and look very, very pretty. So there's my lovely dish of Fettucine Alfredo. I'm just going to grind a little bit of black pepper on the top to give a bit of colour contrast and also a bit of extra flavour. And there you have it. It's simple, but it requires a bit of technique and a bit of practice, and it requires also very fresh, very good ingredients. I'm the Sauceress. You can get this recipe at saucerecipes.tv.